Kelti and the Dragon. One afternoon, Kelti had been taking a nap on her bed when she suddenly woke up from a bad dream. She was feeling very scared and ran out of her bedroom to find her mummy. Her mummy was in the living room reading a book while both of her children were taking a nap. She looked up as Kelti ran towards her with tears in her eyes. Holding out her arms, she grabbed Kelti tightly as the frightened little girl fell onto her lap. "Kelti, what's wrong?" her mummy asked, sounding very worried. "I had a dream which really scared me," Kelti said, fighting back the tears. "A giant dragon was chasing Dougie and me outside near the forest. It was bigger than our house and had the longest tail and was covered in green and blue scales." Kelti caught her breath and her mummy hugged her tightly. After a moment, and feeling a little calmer, Kelti continued. "Dougie and I ran as fast as we could to get away from the dragon, but he kept following us. A little way ahead, I could see a bridge going over a river, and so Dougie and I slid down the riverbank and under the bridge to get away from the dragon." "That was a very good idea," said her mummy as she held her close. "Did the dragon go away then?" "No," said Kelti, looking scared again. "Because he couldn't reach us, he roared loudly and then blew fire at us from his mouth, and that's when I woke up. It was so scary, Mummy." Cuddling her even tighter, her mummy said, "Don't be scared, darling. Dragons are not real. They are only in storybooks and can't hurt you at all." "But Mummy, I could feel the heat from the dragon's fire breath and it felt so real." "Dreams are like that," her mummy said, trying to comfort her. "Sometimes they feel so real, but they really are only your imagination, and you can wake up at any time, which you did. You are safe here, nothing will hurt you, and there are no dragons." She gave her daughter a big hug as she said, "You really have nothing to worry about because you won't ever see a real dragon." Kelti started to feel much better after talking with her mummy. Giving her mummy a kiss, she said, "Thank you, Mummy. I won't let anything scare me again. I think I'll go outside with Dougie now before tea. I'm sure he could do with a run around." "Okay, sweetheart. I think that's a very good idea," replied her mummy, thankful that Kelti felt better. Kelti grabbed her jacket and called to Dougie. "Come on, boy, let's go and have some fun." Dougie yapped happily as he followed Kelti out and into the garden, and they made their way over to the forest. As they started walking into the forest, Kelti noticed a new path going off in a different direction than she usually went. She didn't remember seeing this path before and decided to see where it would take her. She walked along the path with Dougie close by her heels and noticed ahead that the trees seemed to be thicker and the path a lot narrower. She sensed that Dougie did not like the eerie feeling the forest was creating, so she picked him up and tucked him into the secret pocket in her jacket. "You'll be safe in there, Dougie, while I explore," she said, feeling very brave indeed. Kelti continued walking along the path, which had become very narrow. She could hardly see ahead of her because of all the low-hanging branches from the many different trees. All of a sudden, she heard a very strange noise coming from somewhere in front of her. It reminded her of when she had tried to blow up a balloon for the very first time. She remembered blowing so hard into the opening of a pink deflated balloon, but nothing happened except a strange blowing noise coming out of her mouth. She tried many times that day and eventually she blew up the beautiful pink balloon. But what was making the noise she could hear now? Was someone trying to blow up a balloon? If they were, it didn't sound as if they were succeeding. Kelti took a few more steps and the noise became louder. She pushed a few branches aside and found herself in a very large clearing. She could still hear the blowing noise, but could not see who was making it. Kelti walked into the centre of the clearing where there was a large rock. The noise seemed to be coming from behind the rock. Peering over the rock, she saw a tiny red dragon, just a bit bigger than Dougie, standing by the rock, huffing, puffing and blowing so hard that he didn't hear or see Kelti until she spoke. "Hello, tiny dragon. What are you doing?" The tiny dragon jumped in surprise and ran and hid behind another rock while shaking with fear. "Don't be afraid, tiny dragon," said Kelti, walking slowly over to where he was hiding. "My name is Kelti, and I won't hurt you." The tiny dragon peered out from his hiding place and said, "Will you eat me if I come out?" "No, I won't eat you," said Kelti, smiling. "Okay," he said as he slowly walked over to Kelti. "My name is Norman, and I won't eat you either." "What was you doing when I scared you?" asked Kelti. "It sounded like you were trying to blow up a balloon, but you don't have a balloon." "I was trying to blow fire from my mouth like my daddy does," said Norman sadly. "But no matter how hard I try, I just can't seem to do it." "You just need to keep practicing," replied Kelti, as she remembered that was how she had learnt to blow up her pink balloon. "The more you practice, the better you will get. You must also believe you will do it. If you can keep those two things in your mind, I promise you will succeed." Norman still looked sad as he looked up at Kelti. He told her, "My daddy told me that when I was older, I will breathe fire, but I'm only 5. I think I have a lot more growing to do." Kelti sat down next to the tiny dragon and said, "Keep believing that you will, and practice whenever you can, and one day you will breathe fire." "Okay, I will do that," said Norman, as he once again huffed, puffed and blew as hard as he could. Kelti watched him practice for a few minutes and then asked him where his daddy was. She suddenly started to feel a little nervous, thinking that a big dragon could appear at any moment. She remembered the dream she had earlier and how scared she had been. "He'll be back for me soon," Norman said, looking up at Kelti. He saw the scared look on her face and said, "It's okay, Kelti. My daddy is very kind and gentle, and he won't eat you." Before Kelti could reply, the sky darkened, and there was a great whoosh sound as a dragon as big as a house appeared in the sky above them. As quick as a flash, the big dragon landed in the clearing in front of them. He reminded her of the dragon in her dream, but this dragon had a smile on his face and a friendly look in eyes, and she did not feel the least bit scared. "Hello, Daddy," said Norman, who was very excited to see him. "This is my new friend Kelti, and she has been helping me blow fire." "Hello, Kelti," said Norman's daddy. "Nice to meet you." "Thank you for helping Norman. He has been trying very hard. How can I repay you?" "Oh, Daddy, can we take Kelti for a ride?" asked Norman excitedly. "If she would like that," he replied. "Would you like to go for a ride on my daddy's back?" Norman asked Kelti. Kelti could think of nothing better. She had often wondered what it would feel like to fly. With growing excitement, she said, "That would be great. Thank you." "Come on then," said Norman's daddy. "Climb on board, both of you." Happily, they both climbed upon the big dragon's back and sat between his wings. "Hold on tight, here we go," he said as he took off in the air. As they started to fly, Kelti could feel Dougie moving in her jacket pocket, but he soon settled back down and became still once again. Relieved that he hadn't woken up properly, Kelti began to enjoy the ride. They flew out of the forest and went over the top of Kelti's home, where she could see her mummy hanging the washing on the line. The big dragon flapped his wings and they continued flying out across the country, enjoying the amazing views. Kelti loved every minute of it, and she felt like a bird as they soared high above the ground. The people below looked like tiny ants and the cars looked like toys. Eventually they came back down to the clearing in the forest. "Thank you so much," said Kelti as she climbed off the big dragon's back. "Any time," he replied. Turning to Norman, she said, "Now remember to practice blowing fire every day." "I will," said Norman. "But before you leave, let me try one more time." Kelti stood back while Norman huffed, puffed and blew with all his might. Suddenly, something came out of Norman's mouth. But it wasn't fire. It landed by Kelti's feet. She bent down and picked up one of Norman's baby teeth. This made them all laugh. Norman laughed so hard that he started coughing. He coughed, and then something amazing happened. As he coughed, it turned into fire. "Wow," said Kelti, "do that again." Norman gave a big cough and fire blew out of his mouth. "I can do it," he said. "Yippee," shouted Kelti, jumping up and down and clapping her hands. "Well done, my boy," said the big dragon. "You are growing into a mighty fine dragon." "Thank you for helping me believe in myself, Kelti," said Norman, going over to her. "Keep my tooth to remember this magical day." "I will, and thank you," said Kelti, giving the tiny dragon a hug. "Keep practicing and the easier blowing fire we'll get. I must go home now. Thank you for a lovely time. Goodbye." And Kelti started walking back along the path as the two dragons shouted, "We hope to see you again soon." As Kelti arrived back in her garden, Dougie decided to wake up and peered out of her jacket. "Hello, boy. Did you have a good sleep?" she asked as she placed him on the ground. "You'll never believe this," she said as she knelt down beside him. "I've just flown on the back of a big dragon and made a new tiny friend called Norman, who is also a dragon. Look at my new piece of treasure. It's a dragon tooth." And Kelti continued to tell Dougie her exciting story while he sniffed around and stretched his legs. The end.